Good morning. Our reading is by social activist Dorothy Day. People say, what is the sense of our small effort?
They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time.
A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that.
No one has a right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. Good morning. My name is Alana Rodriguez. I went to GA this year. After deciding to attend GA, representing the young adult group from our congregation, I checked out the UUA website to learn more, since it was my very first time. I didn't know what to expect. The theme was All Are Called, and I tried to assess what that meant. I am part of all, so what was I called to do exactly? As a congregation, there are several things we have felt called to do recently. For some of us, this includes social justice work. And for some of us, myself included, this involves becoming more diverse and inclusive religion and congregation. It didn't take long to realize this type of justice work was a priority for many at GA. There was a lot of conversations, some of which I was a part, some I overheard, about how we should be a more inclusive faith. How do we let the rest of the world know our religion is welcoming and open to all, including non-white, non-college educated, non-upper middle class, non-able-bodied, and youth? I feel lucky to live in a city that's diverse. I realized this at the registration table, and as I saw that I was the only one in attendance with the last name Rodriguez, the 9th most common surname in the United States. Growing up in New Mexico and raised primarily in a family with Spanish, Mexican, and Native American lineage, I identify as a person of color, but as a light-skinned, middle-class woman, I also recognize my own privilege. Being a diverse faith cannot mean tokenizing those who look different than those we're used to seeing in the sanctuary on Sunday mornings. Justice work of this nature must go deeper than that. One of the most enlightening experiences that I had when I attended a networking event on reproductive justice hosted by Trust Women, whose mission is to open clinics that provide abortion care in underserved communities so that all women can make their own decisions about their health care. I had just learned about a week before leaving for GA that my 16-year-old daughter is expecting her first child, due in September. This news came as a shock to our family and required a bit of processing. I was doing a lot of that while at GA and wanted to see what this workshop was all about. Most of the conversation revolved around what our congregations must do or continue to do to help with reproductive justice efforts. Someone asked if the staff of Trust Women clinics let young women know who come in for care that studies show very young women who terminate a pregnancy accomplish more in life than those who choose to become parents. I felt my blood pressure rise. My maternal instincts were strong. I had to defend my daughter and others like her. I kept calm, raised my hand, and shared my reality. I told this room full of strangers that although I think it's important for those studies and facts to be shared among everyone, what we must be careful not to do is to sway young would-be parents in the direction we think they should go, because then we are no better than those who tell us that ending a pregnancy will lead to a lifetime of mental and emotional anguish. I told them about my daughter and about how she is choosing, even after having every option explained to her, to raise her son with the help of family and friends. Reproductive justice absolutely must include the right for women to choose if and when they become parents, and then supporting them regardless of the decision they make and regardless of their age. When my daughter and those like her need, or what they need, is support that comes from a place of love and non-judgment. We are all called to do this work. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gwen Sawyer, and I'm the president of the congregation, and this is my third General Assembly. And as Alana has just described to you, while our denomination has been working hard on inclusion, we sometimes let things get in the way. One item of GA business this year was to vote on whether to amend the UUA bylaws to use gender-neutral pronouns, they, instead of he or she. Then a floor proposal was made to change the amendment by just eliminating pronouns altogether and always using the proper title instead, rather than incorrect grammar. The vote on eliminating pronouns was the only one at GA that was too close to call by a show of delegates' voting cards. We had to count every vote. We UUs really care about correct grammar. Now, I understand that. In fact, my family gave me a mug that says Grammar Police. Where most police mottos are to serve and protect, we Grammar Police serve and correct. It was not a thank you mug. So in the end, the eliminate all pronouns proposal lost, and the original amendment passed. The language in the UUA bylaws will now use the gender-neutral pronoun they. And I'd be willing to bet that most of you also care about proper grammar. Even if it doesn't bother you when people say different than, when we grammar police know they mean different from. So let me tell you why I came to accept gender-neutral pronouns. First, I believe we all deserve the right to our own identities, and it's important to honor that. Second, there are people I care about in this congregation who are gender non-binary. That is, they don't see themselves as wholly female or wholly male, but with elements of both. And third, after much thought, I realized that we do have a very common gender-neutral pronoun in English, unlike most Romance languages, that we use it correctly all the time, using the same verb for both singular and plural. Can anyone tell me what it is? Think about it. Okay, hint. It's not third person. It's second person. That's right, it's you. Think about it. My husband is sitting in the back of the congregation, and I can say, sweetheart, what are you going to do today after church? Or I can say, congregation, what are all of you going to do today after church? And I use the same gender-neutral pronoun and the same verb. So I've committed myself to use they the same way for anyone I know who identifies as non-binary. How will I know? Well, our denomination has started adding preferred pronouns to our name tags. And our church is discussing that too. Now, you may have already seen that at some events in the church. I have. I know it will take conscious effort for me to make this change, so I plan to practice. I hope you will join me in getting past the grammar issue to make all welcome here in our beloved community to which we are all called. Thank you.